at Malone University. This is Inside the Competition, the NCAA Tournament Bracket Special. I'm Chase Gerber here with Seth Bird, special guest Brooks Anderson, and we are on the Final Four. We got all of our picks on the board here, who we think is going to be in the Final Four. So give us a quick rundown of who you got in your Final Four, Seth.
I got the Kentucky Wildcats, the Arizona Wildcats, the Louisville Cardinals, and the Iowa State Cyclones.
All right, Brooks, who you got in yours?
I'm going with Big Blue, Kentucky Wildcats. I've got the Badgers from Wisconsin. I've got the Cavaliers from Virginia and the Cyclones from Iowa State.
All right, I got mine, surprise, Kentucky. I think that's a consensus pick around the globe. Duke is also in mine with Wisconsin, and the dark horse in mine, Northern Iowa. So real quick, Kentucky, we all have them in our bracket. Seth, what have we been seeing from them all year?
Well, perfect. That's all you pretty much could say of them. Perfect and dominant in key situations for a young team, especially handling hostile environments like LSU and Georgia. Very impressive how they kept their composure, especially for Towns, who in the LSU game had a technical foul late in the game and was able to keep his composure. So that's why I like about this team is they can handle any pressure, any adversity, and they'll definitely, I think, do that.
Right, definitely. And both of you have Iowa State in your Final Four. Brooks, what have you seen from them that makes you want to put them in your Final Four?
They've just been solid all year. They were a little shaky towards the beginning of the year, especially in their outer conference schedule. But as soon as they hit Big 12 play, you saw the real Iowa State everyone was talking about. And they pulled out a great regular season, a great tournament run. And I think you're going to see that again in this tournament. Definitely.
And, you know, both me and you, we picked Wisconsin. You just love the way they're playing. A lot of people say they're the team to beat Kentucky if there is one. Seth, you went a little different route. You got Arizona in your Final Four over Wisconsin. Why did you pick them over Wisconsin?
The point guard play, T.J. McConnell, very good star. They're just a team that I feel like you just want to succeed, especially with past successes, and they have a great coach. It just feels like their year out in the West. It'll be definitely a home game for them playing in Los Angeles in the Staples Center. There's something about the Wildcats, especially this year with Kentucky as well. Just can't root against the Wildcats.
Okay, let's talk about the region with Northern Iowa, Virginia, and Louisville. All three of us have different picks. This is the most we're divided on. So, Seth, let's start with you. Make your case for Louisville.
It's a pretty good case, honestly. They're a quick team, especially in the tournament we've seen. Last year was 7th and 8th in the national championship game. They're a 4 seed, so it's not unrealistic to put it in there. And especially with Rozier, he's a great guard. You just need great guard play in the national championship and in the Final Four in the tournament itself. And with Montrezl Harrell, Blackshear down low, they're a very quick team. They can play with anybody. And that Villanova game and Louisville game will be a great, fast-paced game, especially in the Final Four game if Iowa State and Louisville were to play.
Right.
The best coaches as well of this tournament, I'd say as well. So Rick Pitino could easily coach another gem of a tournament.
Yeah, definitely. Pitino, like Tom Izzo, always has his team ready come tournament time. Brooks, you picked Virginia out of the East region. Why did you pick them?
I think just watching Virginia throughout the season, they're a type of team that likes to almost kind of strangle the other team's offense with their dominating defensive play. They like to just kind of take over. They're not a high offensive scoring team, but they know how to play defense when it counts, and they know how to create low-scoring games and chances to come out on top. And I think Virginia will succeed with that. I think they're in a good region to do that, and I think they could easily find themselves in the Final Four.
Right, and then I picked Northern Iowa out of this Eastern region, mostly because I don't really see a dominant force in that East region. Villanova is the weakest 1 seed. I don't really trust Virginia. They have a great defense, and I know defense wins championships, but I mean you got to have good offensive play at the same time. I just don't really see a big dominant team in here, which is why I'm picking Northern Iowa kind of as a dark horse to go all the way to the Final Four. But so let's get a quick rundown of what you guys think are going to happen once we get to this point. Seth, who do you have winning? What's the championship game?
The championship game will be the Iowa State Cyclones and Big Blue Nation, the Kentucky Wildcats. And I do believe they were going to get to 40-0. There's no team I think that can definitely touch them, especially what they did at Kansas early in the year. They've shown when they play the best, they are at their best. And yes, you can say, oh, they slipped and stumbled in the SEC, but when they play it the best, they just are too good. They get to another level, it seems like, that you never expected. And Iowa State, great players, very quick, big size. That'll be a great matchup in the Final Four that does happen, Louisville and Iowa State. But Arizona, it's going to be a close game, closer than what experts think if that matchup happens. But I think it's just too much size and speed and just total grit from the Kentucky Wildcats for the Harrison twins wanting to seal the deal, especially last year, their first year, they did not get it done.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's a strong case for Kentucky. Brooks, what do you have happening in your Final Four?
I see Big Blue Nation falling in the Final Four to Frank the Tank in Wisconsin. I see Wisconsin pulling it out. I think if any team's going to do it, it's going to be Wisconsin. And a little more of a surprise here, I have them facing the Cavaliers of Virginia in Indianapolis, and I have Frank Kaminsky and Wisconsin along with Bill Ryan getting the national championship.
Right. I think I'd agree with you if that would be the final match of Wisconsin and Virginia. Both teams are really good defensively. Wisconsin is clearly the better offensive team, which is why, if that would be the case, I would pick them. In my Final Four, I got Duke beating Northern Iowa to get to the championship game. And then, like Brooks, I have Wisconsin knocking off Kentucky. I know we kind of say it all the time, but being an undefeated team is hard after it gets past that high school level. I mean, no team has gone undefeated all the way to the championship since the 70s. So if any team could do it, it would be Kentucky. We've seen UNLV early in the 90s. They got all the way to the Final Four and got knocked off. But I just think there's too much talent in the NCAA now. So I don't think Kentucky will do it. I think that pressure's eventually going to weigh down on them, which would set up a Duke and Wisconsin final, and I have Duke winning it. Because, like I said earlier, Jahlil Okafor, I think he's the best player in the country. They have great guard play. I think Duke goes all the way to win the national championship. But before we go, guys, any last thoughts on the NCAA bracket as a whole? Brooke, you got any?
It's going to be a heck of a ride, that's for sure. We've got 4 great regions, some great teams, some great matchups to enjoy. So it should be a pretty fun next month here. So
Definitely.
looking forward to it.
Definitely. Seth, any last thoughts here?
I definitely agree with Brooks. It should be a crazy atmosphere, and I honestly don't think, all of our picks are great, but I don't even know if we're going to get 2 or 3, honestly. So it should be an exciting game to watch. And there's great games on, especially in all the networks on CBS and TNT and TBS as well. It's going to be great games, a lot of upsets that we're probably not going to even think of that are going to happen, and big runs like Florida Gulf Coast a couple years ago. So just enjoy it. It's March Madness.
Definitely. Yeah, let's definitely enjoy this time. Only get it once a year. So, guys, thanks for joining us. Brooks, thanks for starring in us on our tournament special. This has been the NCAA Tournament Bracket Special for Inside the Competition. I'm Chase Gerber with Seth Bird, and our guest star, as I said earlier, Brooks Anderson. Thanks so much for being with us.